Discover the incredible journey of a boy left behind. From ignorance to billionaire by 26, his unforgettable story of resilience and triumph. Ethan Carter sat on the rickety porch of his grandfather's crumbling home, watching the sunlight shimmer on the dew-kissed grass of the neighborhood beyond. Laughter echoed from neighboring yards, a melody of carefree childhood that felt like a ghost haunting his soul. A bittersweet ache settled in his chest as he recalled the warmth of his mother's embrace before the bitter divorce had ripped their family apart, leaving only shattered pieces behind. Abandoned and alone, he clung to the only constant in his life, his grandfather, a war veteran scarred by battle and burdens of his own. Despite their struggles, Ethan found comfort in the old man's stories of courage and resilience. Every evening, they would sit together, the air thick with the smell of aged wood and faded memories. His grandfather instilled in him the values of hard work and integrity, planting the seeds of hope in a heart that often felt heavy. A man's worth isn't in what he has, but in who he is, his grandfather often reminded him, words echoing like sacred scripture in Ethan's mind. Yet the walls of high school felt like an invisible noose, tightening around him with every privileged glance. The wealth of his classmates only highlighted his own deprivation. Each encounter with their easy laughter and designer clothes shot through him like arrows of insecurity. Their bright futures hung over him like a dark cloud, forcing him to confront an unforgiving reality. He felt small and unworthy, caught between two worlds he could never reconcile. Then came Mr. Thompson, the local entrepreneur who had the keen eye for hidden potential. During a community cleanup event, he spotted Ethan's determination as he worked tirelessly, despite the heat. "You're a hard worker, kid. Ever thought about channeling that into something bigger?" Mr. Thompson asked, sparking a flicker of possibility in Ethan's heart. With mentorship from him, Ethan delved into the tech world, launching a small business that began as a timid dream. Success tasted sweet but came at a steep price. When his mother resurfaced one fateful afternoon, coiling back into his life with a smile and apologies, Ethan felt his fortress start to crumble. Old wounds reopened, tearing at the fabric of his newfound ambition. Could he forgive her for leaving? Would he betray his grandfather and all he stood for by letting her back in? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A charity project that Ethan spearheaded became a beacon for the community. Old faces and new ones united, standing side by side. And for the first time, they all rallied behind him. Whispers of doubters began to fade, replaced by cheers of support. It was a bittersweet triumph as his heart wrestled with the legacy of abandonment and the warmth of camaraderie. Ethan stood in the center of it all, realizing that he was no longer alone. The support of his community felt like a lifeline, but with rising ambitions brewing within him, a vital question loomed. How could he manage to stay grounded and connected to those who mattered most, while navigating the tidal wave of success? A clash between family loyalty and personal ambition threatened to tip the balance. With the dawn of a new chapter on the horizon, Ethan took a deep breath, the weight of his past still clinging to him. He could feel the storm brewing inside, one that might either propel him forward or drown him in doubt. Would he find his way through the darkness, or would the ghosts of his childhood forever haunt him? Ethan stood still, surrounded by the sound of laughter and joy, but his heart felt like a separate entity, weighed down by the memories of heartache. He glanced sideways at the new swing set gleaming in the sunlight, a testament to the charity efforts he had rallied for. Children swung high, their giggles filling the air with innocence and happiness. Yet, within him, chaos reigned. His mother's unexpected return had thrown everything into disarray, stirring up emotions he thought were buried deep. As he moved away from the festivities, he found a quiet corner of the park, the fragrance of blooms comforting yet familiar. It was here that he could breathe, far from the expectations and aspirations that flared like a smoke signal into the sky. He felt the weight of his grandfather's gaze rest upon him, expecting greatness, but also understanding the burden of being appreciated by those who now relied on him. Rubbing the back of his neck, Ethan restlessly thought of his mother. Her sudden appearance had lit something inside him, an old flicker of hope that he had mistakenly thought extinguished. What if she had changed? What if this time she truly wanted to be in his life? Ethan, the voice snapped him back. It was Mr. Thompson, his mentor and guiding light, approaching with an enthusiastic grin. You did it, my friend. Look around you. The community is so proud of you. Thanks, Mr. Thompson. But Ethan hesitated, uncertainty weighing heavily on his tongue. What if I lose focus? What if I can't balance my past with this new success? You're not alone in this. You've built a community around you, remember? They want to see you succeed. You have to embrace where you come from, not run away from it. Mr. Thompson's voice carried an urgency that resonated deeply with Ethan. The shadows of his past climbed back into his mind. The late-night fights, the emptiness at home, and the promises left unfulfilled by a mother who once chose her own needs over him. Could he truly accept her back without shattering the fragile semblance of peace he had carved out? Suddenly, the sweet laughter of children drifted toward him, reminding him of the strength around him. This charity was not just about fundraisers and donations, it was a family. A family he had been starved of and now desperately needed. He looked toward the gathering, and a wave of warmth surged through him. They were counting on him, not just for money, but for direction, hopes, and dreams. That he turned back to Mr. Thompson. The determination in his heart ignited anew. You're right. I need to face this. I don't want to forget where I came from. His voice was steadier now, the storm inside him beginning to settle. But I can't forget what I've fought for, either. A nod from Mr. Thompson confirmed his resolve. Let us take the next steps together. We can turn this charity into something bigger, bring in voices that matter, and show them how change happens together. Filled with a newfound clarity, Ethan felt the fissures of his past slowly knit together with the hope of the present. The journey ahead, filled with challenges, would require every ounce of strength he had gathered. However, in this moment, he knew one thing for certain. He would forge ahead. He was no longer a boy left behind. He was building a future. But as he picked up the phone, the glow of the screen brightened his face, a message pinged, and he hesitated. It was a text from his mother, a simple "Can we talk?" that left him staring into the horizon, heart racing with fear and possibility. What would her words plunge him into next? Ethan stared at the screen, his thumb hovering over the keyboard, a flood of emotions surging within him. His mother, the woman who had left him feeling abandoned in his most vulnerable moments. Despite everything, there was a part of him that craved to understand, craved closure, craved something else he couldn't quite name. But was it safe? The laughter of the children playing nearby gradually faded away, replaced by the sound of his heartbeat, thumping a nervous rhythm. Should he let her back in? With a shaking breath, he finally typed back, yes. When? He hit send, and then felt his stomach knot, as if he had just jumped off a diving board into deep water. Moments passed, each second dragging like an eternity. Just as he began to convince himself it was a mistake, his phone chimed again. Can we meet at the cafe by the park? 3 p.m.? Ethan's heart sank and soared at the same time. A cafe. Public. Neutral ground. But also a place where all his childhood memories of her echoed in the back of his mind. Both comforting and painful. As he pocketed the phone, a child nearby squealed with delight as he soared through the air on the swing, and it struck Ethan how simple their joy was. How uncomplicated. He wished his own life could be distilled to something as clear as that, just joy. But the memory of his mother was like a dark cloud, refusing to disperse. Are you all right, Ethan? Mr. Thompson's voice broke into his thoughts again, pulling him from his spiral of worries. Ethan took a deep breath. I guess I'll find out soon enough. Remember, Mr. Thompson said, placing a hand on his shoulder, you have made choices that have brought you here. Whatever you decide to do, just stay true to yourself. As the clock edged closer to 3 p.m., Ethan sat in the cafe, the aroma of coffee wafting through the air. Each tick of the clock brought more anxiety. He traced circles on the table with his finger, anxiety giving way to determination. This meeting wasn't just about her. It was about him, too. When she finally walked in, by all accounts she looked different. A little older, a little worn, But there was something in her eyes, a sincerity that cut through his bitterness. He hadn't been expecting that softness. "Ethan," she began, her voice trembling. "Mom." The word felt foreign on his tongue, mixed with emotions he had suppressed. They sat across from each other, the air thick with unspoken words. Just like the swings outside, they both seemed caught in a moment, dangling between the past and a potential future. He could see the years of hurt etched on her face, but a part of him felt the urge to reach out and understand. "What do you want?" Ethan's voice shook with power and vulnerability. It surprised even him. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling. "I want to explain. I want to apologize. There's so much you don't know." Just as she was about to continue, the cafe door swung open with a creak, and a group of teenagers burst in, laughing and joking, disrupting the moment. Ethan's heart raced. He half wanted to listen to the laughter, half wanted to shut the world out. It struck him then that this moment could define him, standing at the crossroads of acceptance and resentment. But what would her story reveal? Would he find the strength to embrace what had once been too painful? As the chatter filled the air, he realized he was on the precipice of something monumental. What exactly was it that lay ahead? Another heartbreak, or a reunion he never dared to dream of? Ethan felt a rush of emotions as the chatter of the cafe swirled around him. He focused on his mother's face, the way her eyes trembled, and her expression shifted from hope to fear. The laughter of the teenagers faded into the background as if it belonged to an entirely different world. "Mom," he said again, softer this time. "What are you trying to say?" She swallowed hard, her gaze darting toward the window before locking onto him. "I made choices that hurt you. I thought protecting you meant leaving." He felt a knot tighten in his chest. "So that's it? You just thought leaving was the best option? You walked away and expected me to be fine?" "No, Ethan," she quickly interjected, her voice rising slightly. "I never thought you'd be fine. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I thought it was for the best. I wanted you to have a better life, away from my mistakes." "Your mistakes?" His bitterness bubbled to the surface. "You don't think I needed you? That I needed to know why you left? I built my life around nothing but questions you left unanswered." He could feel the heat rising in his cheeks, anger laced with vulnerability. She flinched, but didn't look away. "I know I can't change the past. I just wish I had the courage to tell you back then why I did it." The question hung in the air like an invisible weight, drawing them closer, yet keeping them apart. Ethan's heart raced, riding the waves of hurt and longing. "Then tell me now. The honesty is all I've ever wanted." Her fingers trembled as she placed them flat on the table, as if bracing herself. "I was scared. I was drowning. I faced things I thought I could handle on my own. When I realized I couldn't, I was ashamed. So I ran. But I always hoped you would forgive me someday." The sincerity in her voice caught Ethan off guard. It was a layer of his mother he had never seen or recognized. Beneath the hurt, he felt a flicker of something. Was it understanding? Compassion? Maybe even hope? But the facade of control he had built for so many years began to crack. Memories of his childhood, the nights he cried himself to sleep, and the countless birthdays spent without her rushed back to him like waves crashing against the shore. "It's hard to trust someone who was never there," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Do I really have to forgive you? Just like that?" The sadness in her eyes mirrored his internal struggle. "You don't have to do anything. But I need you to know I'm here now, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I've missed you every day of my life." Ethan took a deep breath. The weight of their past threatened to pull him under, but there was something undeniably liberating about this moment. "What if I can't forgive you?" he asked, still processing his swirling emotions. "Then we can take it one step at a time," she replied. "But I want to stop trying. You deserve to have me in your life, if you want that." As he gazed into her eyes, a storm brewed inside him. He felt anger mixing with something softer, a yearning to know this woman who had haunted his dreams and nightmares. This wasn't just about her. It was about him reclaiming pieces of himself he thought had been lost. Deep inside, a question lingered. Was it possible to rebuild from the fragments of their past? Or was he standing on the edge of another heartbreak? "Let us talk more," he finally said, his voice steadying just a touch. "But I need time. I need to know it's real." She nodded, her tears glistening in the afternoon light. "I can do that." The cafe buzzed around them, life continuing on, oblivious to the moment that held so much weight. As they began to speak again, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. But what lay ahead? Would he find his way to forgiveness? Or would the shadows of their past continue to entangle him? Ethan felt the tension linger in the air, thick and heavy as they fell into a fragile silence. He stared into his mother's eyes, searching for answers in the depths of her fear and regret. The reality of their situation crashed over him, leaving him reeling. They were both strangers in this moment, trying to bridge a chasm filled with lost years and unspoken words. "Can you promise me something?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Her expression sharpened, her brow furrowed as though she were bracing for another emotional wave. "Anything. Promise that you won't leave again." The words spilled out before he could catch them. He could feel vulnerability clawing at the edges of his composure. "I swear," she said, her voice unwavering. "I'm here for you now. I'll fight to stay, no matter what." Ethan let out a shaky breath. Her response sent a flicker of warmth through him, a light breaking through the clouds of doubt that shrouded his heart. But even that warmth felt complicated. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted, his honesty cutting deeper than he anticipated. "How do we go from this to being a family again?" His mother nodded, understanding washing over her features. "One conversation at a time. Just take it slow." He glanced around the cafe, noticing the lively chatter, the clinking of cups, and the laughter that felt so distant from their reality. Each sound was a reminder that life continued beyond their little corner. An uncomfortable thought surfaced. What did he want? Was it reconciliation, or something more? "There's so much anger in me," he confessed quietly. "So many moments frozen in time where I wished you would just show up. I wanted you to call. I wanted you to care enough to come back." Her eyes glistened with tears again, and she leaned closer. "I know, and I can't change that. I didn't understand what I was leaving behind. I thought I was giving you freedom, but instead, I chained us both with my absence." Ethan shifted, emotions battling inside him. They were raw and uncomfortable, yet he felt oddly compelled to keep unearthing them. "Well, maybe I don't need freedom from you. Maybe I just wanted my mother." A tear slipped down her cheek, and she quickly wiped it away. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought you'd have a better life without me. But what if I didn't want a life without you?" He interjected, frustration bubbling to the surface. "What if I just wanted to feel loved?" Her pain seeped into him, a shared agony that connected them like an unbreakable thread. "I'll show you love is messy. It's complicated. But I promise I'll be here for as long as you'll allow me." Ethan felt a wellspring of emotion bubble beneath the surface, raw and real. Could he really allow himself to believe in that promise? But the shadows of his past whispered doubt. "What if I just can't let go of the hurt?" "We'll work through it together," she responded, her voice steady and determined. "You don't have to carry it alone anymore." A sense of uncertainty still hung over him. As tempting as it was to believe her, what if the hope she offered was just another illusion? The sound of the cafe faded back in, pulling him from his spiraling thoughts. He realized that, despite everything, he craved this connection, this possibility, this chance. "Let us make the most of this moment," he offered quietly, his heart beating a little calmer. "Let us start fresh right now." She smiled through her tears, hope flickering in her gaze, and he felt that warmth wrapping around them. Maybe they could create something new, something uncharted. But as he felt that hint of possibility, fear clawed at him. Could broken pieces really fit together again? As the conversation continued to flow, each word felt like another step, and with every passing moment, Ethan wondered how far they could go before the past threatened to pull them under once more. Would this journey lead to healing, or would he find himself lost in another cycle of hurt? Ethan felt a strange combination of hope and dread as his mother's words settled in his mind. The cafe around them faded into the background, becoming just a murmur of clinking plates and scattered laughter. He focused on the intensity in his mother's eyes, hoping it wouldn't fade away like the echoes of their lost time. "Tell me more about what you've been doing," he urged, his voice gaining strength. "I want to understand you." She paused, as if collecting fragments of her life to share. "It's a long story," she said softly, a hint of hesitation in her tone. "I'm ready to listen." The warmth in their space made him feel grounded, yet he still fought against a tide of old wounds. Would this bring him more pain or release? Well, there was a lot of chaos. "I moved around a lot. Different cities, different jobs. I tried to find stability, but it felt just out of reach. I was always seeking something that I couldn't quite name. Ethan nodded, curious but cautious. Do you think you found it? Maybe, but it took me away from the one thing that mattered most, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know how to nurture those connections. The loneliness swallowed me sometimes. His mother's admission pierced through the doubts rattling in his heart. It was as if she exposed her soul, revealing the scars of her journey, and a small part of him softened in response. It must have been really hard. It was, but I promised myself that I would do better if I ever had the chance. And now you're back. Ethan's voice wavered, caught between anger and a burst of hope. But can you really change? Can you give me what I need? She reached for his hand, and he hesitated before allowing her fingers to intertwine with his. I want to try. I need to prove that I can be here for you. The warmth of her touch ignited a flicker of trust deep inside him, yet the weight of the past still loomed like a storm cloud. What if this is just a chapter? A temporary fix? She squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes pleading. It's not. We can make this something real. I want to run again. His heart raced, and he felt as if they were balancing on a tightrope strung between past hurts and uncharted hopes. Could they move forward, or would the gusts of memories send them reeling back into familiarity? I want to believe that. Ethan breathed out, the weight of his emotions heavy in his chest. But I'm scared. The anger is still in me, and I don't know if we can just erase all that. Silence fell over them, thick and uncomfortable. He could see the wheels turning in her mind as she searched for the right words. Finally, she spoke softly. What if we start by talking about those memories? The good ones and the bad. Let us put everything on the table. The idea sent a shiver down his spine. It scared him, but at the same time, it piqued his curiosity. Could sharing their pain be a pathway to healing? All right, he agreed, his voice threading through the air like a lifeline. Let us try. He felt a sliver of optimism take root inside him. Maybe this was the step they needed, both diving headfirst into the messy depths of their past. Yet, a tug of fear reminded him that revealing too much could backfire in ways he couldn't predict. But as he looked into his mother's eyes again, he found something that calmed his racing heart, a hint of determination. He had her promise, and he was willing to fight for the hope of something better. What should we start with? He asked cautiously. She smiled, and for the first time, Ethan felt the weight of their shared history lift just a bit. Let us begin with the day I left. He braced himself for the nostalgia, the pain, and the healing that lay ahead. But suddenly, the door swung open, and a gust of cold air swept through the cafe. It felt like a warning. An omen. Was life beckoning them towards an inevitable storm? Would they be ready for what came next? Ethan felt a chill run down his spine as the door creaked open. The bright afternoon light spilled into the cafe, and for a moment, he couldn't tell if it was the chill of the air or the shiver of anxiety that was catching up to him. People turned their heads, some glancing curiously, breaking the bubble that had formed around him and his mother. Keep going, he encouraged her, though the room felt suddenly heavy with uncertainty. His mother inhaled deeply, searching for the right words. That day, it wasn't just a decision. It was an avalanche, a buildup of moments where I felt trapped. I thought I was leaving for a better life, for freedom. She paused, her eyes glaring down at the table. But I didn't realize I was abandoning you. Ethan's heart squeezed at her confession, the guilt spilling out like fresh ink on pages he thought were dry. You saw it as freedom. But for me, it felt like a door slamming shut. He confessed, his voice thick with emotion. I remember that day. The sky was so bright, but inside, I was in shadows. I know, she said gently, her voice breaking. You were just a child. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought you would understand later. Ethan shook his head. But I didn't understand, Mom. All I had was confusion. You left, and I felt nothing. Just emptiness. I would look for you in places you used to be. It's like the world was painted in grays. A tear slipped down his mother's cheek, and he resisted the urge to wipe it away. I'm so sorry. I thought my journey was about me. I never realized how much my choice affected you. That deepened silence pressed in again, wrapping around them like a heavy blanket, as if the cafe and all its chatter had vanished. Ethan's mind raced. Could he burst that bubble? So, did you ever think about coming back? Before now? Her gaze wandered, as if reflecting decades of decisions. Every day, I was scared of what I had lost. Scared to face you. I didn't know if I'd still be welcome. A lump rose in Ethan's throat. Welcome? After everything? I wanted my mom back. I wanted you to know me. But I've been so angry. How do I just accept this? The warmth of her grip tightened again as she shifted closer. We can take it one step at a time. I can't erase the past or those choices, but I can promise to stand here and listen. You have every right to be angry. The honesty in her tone soothed him, but Ethan wrestled with turmoil inside himself. Will talking about it even help? Or just dig up more dirt? She nodded thoughtfully. Sometimes things have to be exposed to breathe. Let us embrace it, Ethan. The good and the bad. Are you willing to share more? To navigate through this storm together? His heart raced again, but now it felt different. There was a shimmer of shared strength rising within him. Perhaps she was right. There was a chance for new beginnings in their truths. Okay, he whispered, a small flicker of determination igniting. Let us talk. I want to show you how your absence shaped me, but I want you to understand why it hurts so much. He took a deep breath as they prepared to explore the memories, both the painful and the cherished. But just as he was about to begin, the sound of laughter and banter surged back, and the bell above the cafe door chimed again. This time, it was a group of laughing teenagers bustling in, their carefree chatter slicing through the moment like a knife. Ethan felt an instinctive urge to retreat, to protect the delicate space he had opened with his mother. Can we finish this later? He blurted out, a rush of anxiety taking hold. Ethan's mother's gaze shimmered with understanding as she nodded. Absolutely. Whenever you're ready. But as the laughter reverberated through the room again, he couldn't shake off the feeling that their moments of honesty were already being crowded out by the mundane bustle of life. Was he really ready to keep diving in, or was he just stalling to avoid the deeper cuts? As a fresh wave of laughter echoed, he looked at his mother, ready to dive back into uncharted waters. Would they both be courageous enough to keep going? Ethan fidgeted in his seat, his heart thumping wildly against his ribcage. The cheerful chatter of the teenagers filled the cafe like a buzzing hornet's nest, and he squeezed his eyes shut just for a moment, wishing it would drown out the emotional weight pressing down on him. He needed to breathe, to gather himself, but all he could feel was the tension still hanging between him and his mother. Hey, his mother said softly, breaking through the chaos. Look at me. He opened his eyes to find her gaze waiting for him, calm and steady. She wasn't angry. She wasn't rushing him. Just waiting. It reminded him of the way she used to look at him when he'd come home from school, seeking comfort. He desperately wanted to feel that warmth grow again. I'm sorry, he said, unsure if the words could possibly express all that he felt. It's just, after everything, the idea of opening up feels overwhelming. Her fingers reached across the table, brushing against his knuckles. I understand. It's scary to face things we've pushed aside. But I'd rather tackle that fear with you than let it keep us apart. He looked down, his pulse still racing. Fear had been a constant companion for so long, showing up as disappointment, anger, sadness, each a shadow of the other. You said you were afraid to come back, he confessed. But what about me? I've been stuck in this fear of losing you again. What if it happens once more? With a gentle sigh, she leaned in closer, her eyes swimming with emotion. That's a valid concern, she replied. But staying silent only makes the distance grow. I can't promise that it won't hurt, but I can promise to stick around this time. Her sincerity wrapped around him like a warm blanket. The laughter from the teenagers shifted into giggles, and it pulled Ethan momentarily from their intense exchange. He saw them taking selfies, arms slipped around each other, carefree in their youth. Each smile felt like a dagger. He remembered a time when that happiness was close enough to reach out and touch. Mom, he said, his voice suddenly heavier. I don't want this moment to slip away like before. I don't want another chance to go by without saying what I need to say. Then say it, she encouraged, her grip firm. I'm here for you. He inhaled deeply, the air filling with the scent of fresh coffee and sweet pastries, grounding him. When you left, it felt like my heart became a book with pages missing. For years, I didn't know how to fill those gaps. I was a ghost of who I once was. I shut everyone out. Tears stung his eyes, but he pressed on. I couldn't bear the idea of someone else leaving me, so I built walls. I put on a mask, convincing myself I was okay living a life only half felt. Emotions swirled in her gaze, combining relief and guilt. I could help you face those fears, Ethan. I should have pushed through, tried harder to reach you. Maybe, he replied, his voice softer. But it doesn't help to dwell on might-have-beens. What matters is how we move forward now. She nodded, and a small tremor of hope flickered between them. Then let us do that. Let us build something new together. Just then, the door swung open one more time, and a familiar figure stepped inside, a tall man with brown hair and a confident stride. Ethan's heart sank as he recognized his old childhood friend, Max, and all the memories of being left behind rushed back uninvited. Would this encounter break their fragile moment? Ethan, Max called out. His laughter suddenly stopped when he noticed the tension in the air. The smiles faded from the cafe, falling silent at the unknown undercurrent. Ethan felt the weight of every unresolved feeling flood back to the surface. He turned to his mother, uncertainty dancing in his chest. Would this moment derail everything they were trying to build? Ethan's breath hitched as he watched Max take a few hesitant steps towards their table. His old friend looked different, somehow more polished, but the warmth in his smile remained untouched. For a brief moment, Ethan caught a glimpse of their shared childhood, the laughter, the adventures, the bond that felt unbreakable. But everything had changed. Max's gaze darted between Ethan and his mother, acknowledging the tension that hung in the air. "What is going on?" he asked, concern weaving through his voice. "Just having a chat," Ethan said, trying to keep his tone steady despite the storm brewing inside him. He felt exposed, like a star player in a game where every booing spectator could suffocate him in second-guessing. Max looked at his mother, then back at Ethan, confusion etching deeper lines on his forehead. "Is everything okay? You look, well, intense." Ethan forced a smile, but it felt stiff. They'd shared so much in the past. Was he really ready to let Max in on the chaos that had upended his life? "Yeah, it's complicated," he finally replied, unsure of how to bridge the chasm that had formed. Max tilted his head, his expression softening. "If you need to talk, I'm here. Always." The sincerity in Max's voice warmed Ethan's heart, igniting a flicker of hope. He quickly glanced at his mother, who was watching the exchange with an encouraging nod. It reminded him just how important it was to connect, to accept that vulnerability didn't mean weakness. "Thanks," he managed, the weight lifting slightly, though a new tension replaced it, the fear of revisiting old memories. Would Max judge him, pity him, or might he even understand? It was a risk, but maybe it was time to face that risk head-on. "You know," Max started, breaking the thick silence, "I heard about your mom coming back to town. I wanted to reach out sooner, but," he trailed off. "I get it," Ethan interrupted, more than familiar with the tug-of-war that was friendship and distance. "Things haven't been easy." "Yeah," Max said, his voice lowering. "I can't imagine what you've been going through." He stepped forward, leaning against the table, his tone shifting to a lighter note. "We can change that, though? How about a catch-up? Just like old times?" Ethan hesitated, the urge to retreat clashing against the desire to reconnect. Max was an anchor from his past, yet Ethan had changed. "I'm not sure old times exist anymore." A pang of longing pierced him as he found himself thinking of the moments that had slipped away. "Maybe we can try creating new ones?" Max suggested, that familiar spark in his eyes. Just then, the cafe's ambience shifted dramatically as a loud group of teens pushed through the door, joking and shouting. The energy bounced around the room, laughter erupting like firecrackers. It disrupted the heavy moment, but it also breathed life into the air, reminding Ethan that despite everything, joy still existed somewhere in the world. Ethan's mother cleared her throat, bringing the focus back to their conversation. "Ethan, what do you think? It might be good to reignite some of those connections, but only if you're ready." The words wrapped around him, urging him forward. Perhaps he could find a way to blend the past and present into something stronger, something that helped him grow instead of distancing from it. "Okay," Ethan said finally, heart pounding. "Let's try. I don't want to run anymore." Max smiled broadly, relief washing over his features. "Great. I'll grab the coffees." Ethan half smiled, but the truth burned within him. Reconnecting felt like stepping out onto a tightrope. Would he be able to find balance? As Max walked away, Ethan caught a glimpse of his mother, her eyes filled with pride and hope. She knew they were making progress. But as they enjoyed a moment of shared laughter, a familiar figure slipped into Ethan's mind. The memories of his father reminded him of the unresolved anger and sadness lurking just beneath the surface. Would he be able to move forward without addressing that pain? Ethan, his mother said cautiously, what if we tried to face everything together? The question hung in the air, and Ethan felt the doubt creeping back in. How could they tackle it all? And without losing this fragile moment they were beginning to rebuild. Would he have the courage to confront old ghosts? Ethan took a deep breath, the weight of emotions coursing through him. He looked at his mother, her expression warm yet cautious, and he felt the storm of feelings battling within him. Could they truly face everything and find solace in those truths? Together, he echoed, finding strength in the word. It was a promise, not just to her, but to himself. He let out a shaky breath, nodding. Yeah, let us face it all. The commitment felt daunting but exhilarating. As the laughter of teenagers filled the cafe again, he welcomed the noise. They were surrounded by the world, and yet, they were finally carving out their own space amidst the chaos. Where do we even start? Ethan asked, his voice steadying. Let us talk about you today, she said gently, sincerity sparkling in her eyes. How have you changed? That question stirred something in Ethan. He could see glimpses of the boy he once was, but realized he had transformed into someone stronger. I think I've learned resilience, he began slowly. When you left, I had to grow up fast. I didn't just have to stand on my own. I had to learn how to support others. Their eyes met, and for an instant, the air crackled with an understanding deeper than words. I'm proud of you, Ethan, she murmured, her voice filled with warmth. But a fleeting shadow crossed her face, reminding Ethan of the past. It must have been hard. Hard doesn't he even cover it, he replied, anger simmering just below the surface. I built walls to keep everyone out. I was scared of losing more people, scared of feeling that hurt again. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her hand tightening around his. I never wanted that for you. And maybe I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I wish for a chance to prove myself. Ethan hesitated, battling the sharpened edges of his heartache. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, he admitted, feeling vulnerable. But I want to try to understand. She nodded, a glimmer of hope igniting in her eyes. Understanding is a good start. I'm here for the long haul. The door chimed again, and Max returned with 2 steaming cups of coffee, deepening the atmosphere. The tension broke slightly as he placed them on the table, offering an easy distraction. The familiar comfort of camaraderie bubbled up. Okay, no more heavy stuff for now, he said lightly. What about a back-to-school plan? Let us relive some good memories? Ethan felt warmth radiate around him. You think we can find that again? Why not? Just like the swings outside, we can push through and soar, Max replied. The prospect made Ethan's heart race. Maybe facing the past could open doors to healing. Maybe joy would come alongside it. They were standing at the threshold of something new. Let us do it, Ethan said, feeling resolve bloom within him. Let us try to make this work. His mother's gaze shimmered with gratitude, and Max grinned broadly. All right, adventure awaits. Ethan grinned back, feeling lighter, buoyed by their encouragement. This wasn't simply a past revisited. It was about creating a future, one rooted in understanding and forgiveness. Together, they were crafting something beautiful, something that felt whole. With his heart fuller than before, he turned back to his mother. You know, I might still have some anger, but taking honest steps is worth it. Absolutely, she replied. And I'll be right here, every step of the way. As laughter fluttered around them, weaving in and out of their conversation, Ethan couldn't help but feel a transformation swelling within him. Through courage and connection, he was no longer that abandoned boy, but a man forging a new path forward. He raised his coffee cup, a surprised smile breaking across his face. To new beginnings? To new beginnings. They echoed, their hearts filled with hope and possibility. As sunlight streamed through the cafe window, time paused. In that moment, Ethan felt a profound shift. Abandonment wasn't his narrative anymore. He was resilient, determined to shape a future of love and connection that recognized both pain and healing. And amid the noise of the cafe, he quietly whispered to the universe, thank you for the chance to rise again. Now, it's your turn to help us keep making these transformative stories. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Leave a like to show us that you appreciate these journeys and want more. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this incredible ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of transformation.